Okay, page 51. Watch this. You have a statement. You could write the conditional. It goes P then Q. Contrapositive, not Q, then not P. We've talked about that already. I'm not going to review that right now. This is all I'm going to ask you to do, okay? Pay attention to this one. If you start with a true statement and the arrow goes to a false statement, this is an if-then statement, then the whole thing is false. That is just a fact. If the arrow goes from a true statement to a false statement, the whole thing is considered false. That's the only time you're lying, okay? That's the only time that somebody can be like, wait a minute, you said that if-then statement and you lied, right? That's the only time. So let's try that. Listen carefully. There are always 4 cases. Someone could say, right, there could be a scenario where both parts of the statement is true, P and Q. It could be where the first part is false, the second part is false. The first part is true, the second part is false. Or the first part is false, the second one is true. We're never going to trick you that way. There's always 4 cases. Mr. Dirksen, are these always going to stay the same? No. You have to read carefully. So, tell me, if we go from P to Q, we're going from here to here, which case goes from true to false? True to true, false to false, true to false, right? You see that? That statement is false. Circle it, because that's the exception. That's the anomaly. That statement is false. Mr. Dirksen, so what about all the other statements? What do you think? They're all true. Just like that. True, true, true. Okay? Let's fill this in here as well. I'm going to copy this row. Sorry. I have to be careful here. This is just Q, right? What happens when you put a squiggly in front? That means not Q. So follow my train of thought here. This is the Q row, correct? The column, I mean. If Q is true here, follow my thought here. If Q is true here, what is not Q? What happens to the true statement? It turns into false. Next, if Q is false in this second case and you negate it, it turns true. If Q is false here and you negate it, it turns true. If Q is true here and you negate it, it's false. What do you notice? Everything is exactly the opposite. Think of the not as a negative 1. What happens to the sign if you multiply something, a negative by a negative, you get a positive? If you multiply a positive by a negative, you get a negative. You change the sign. That's what not does. Okay? Let's fill in the not P. If it's true here, not P is false. If it's false here, not P is true. If it's true here, false. If it's false there, true. So we've transferred this over to here. We negate it. And then we've transferred this over to here, also negating. Now, which way is the arrow traveling? From where to where, guys? Not Q to not P. Let's find this. I'm going to find true. It's going to true. Keep looking. True, going to false. What's up with this statement? This is the false statement here. Everything else is true. Let's keep going. I know I'm going a little faster. I know. Sorry, guys. Okay, let's copy down whatever Q is. Go up to the top here. Go up to the top and copy this Q into this Q here. So I'm going to go true, false, false, true. I copied it. Let's copy P into this column. Mr. Erickson, we're not negating, right? Nope. So we keep it the same? Yes. You got it. So we're going from Q to P, correct? From Q to P. Let's find true, false. True, true. False, false. False, true. True, false. What's up with this statement? Everything else is considered true. You're not lying in any of those circumstances. Next, let's go to the top. Let's copy not P. We already did not P. It's up there. I'm going to copy that down here. And I'm going to copy not Q right up here. Just going to copy that down. And here it is. Arrow goes from not Q to not P. So from this column to that column. So I'm going to start on this one. False to false, true to true, false to true, true to false. That one is false. All the other ones are true. This page right here is to show you, do you see that the conditional and the contrapositive, you see that they are actually the same? They're the same statement. And so is the converse and the inverse. They both have the false in the last case, okay? That's what I'm here to tell you. A couple more, guys. I know I'm bombarding you. I just want to finish this. Yes. There's and statements and or statements. Guys, if there's an and statement, I want you to think of this. I want you to think of that. Okay, that's the notation. This goes on your study sheet, this part. If you have and, okay, if you have this scenario, this is the anomaly. You ready? This is the anomaly. If the first part is true and the second part is true, then the whole statement is true. Let's do a quick example. If I say that I'm going to the mall and I'm going to a movie. I'm saying I'm going to go to the mall, then I'm going to watch a movie. And the only time that you haven't lied is in fact when you do both things. If even one of them is false, if you're not going to the mall but you only go to the movies, you've lied because you said both, okay? So let's look at our cases. This is the only case when P and Q are true. That's the only one that is true. What's up with all the other ones? You're lying. If you need to have both true, so I circle that one and I make everything else false. Have that on your study sheet, this one right here. Next, or statements. If you think of or statements, you're thinking this or this, okay? Again, if you have P or Q, the only anomaly is going to be this one. Sorry, my bad. You're going to be looking for F or F. If you see that one, that's the only time that you're lying. Everything else is going to be true. So which one has F and F? This one here. That's F. Circle it. Everything else is true. Biconditional. I'm done after this. Sorry, guys. I went overboard. I know I did. I went too far here today. The only time is this. If you've got true and true, or false and false, those are true statements. Everything else is false. So watch this. We're going to go true, true is true. False, false is true. And the other ones are going to be the opposite. Okay? If you want to try this, try page 53 and 54.